True Culture on Human Nature TV, where we stay true to all cultures, especially our own. Thanks for tuning in to the Tap In. You are now vibing with your host who loves you the most. I am Waddy, and with us today, we have DC hip hop legend. Let's give a warm True Culture welcome to Priest and Nomad, brothers and sisters. Yes,
blessings, what up?
super happy to have you here with us today, man. I'm
Great
stoked.
to be here.
I can barely speak, bro. I keep fumbling over my words with you here today, man.
Yeah, you're doing good stuff, man. I've seen a couple episodes. It's definitely been beautiful work.
I appreciate you
Great
for
to be
that,
here.
man. We here for you, man. I stand behind what you stand for. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm here to do this for you, for all the artists and creatives. Now let's get right into Priest and Nomad, man, because I know I have a lot of questions for you.
All right.
Now tell us, for people who don't know about Priest and Nomad, you know, I know that you were born in DC and you ended up moving to Beltsville. Ended up going also to Hyattsville in PG County. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about that move and how, you know, the transition?
Yeah, you know, it's like a lot of us, man. We, you know, was born in the city, and you know, I'm a '70s baby, '80s kid. You know what I'm saying? So, my grandfather had a house that for when they moved up from the South, from North Carolina, like a lot of our stories, he moved on 13th Street right off Brentwood in Saratoga, Northeast. And that's where, you know, my mom and my uncles and all of them grew up. That neighborhood right there is, you know, totally gentrified now. Right where the old DMV used to be. And then, you know, my mother grew up in there, that house, went to McKinley Tech. I was born there.
My father
you know
went
what I'm
to
saying?
McKinley Tech.
Yeah, so she went there with a whole lot of folks, man. Richard Smallwood, all of that whole little team of people that went around that time or whatever. But yeah, you know, then you know, I was born over there as well, but you know, we got out you know, when I was pretty young. Cause you know, trying to, you know, cause it's, you know, youngest is wild and starting to get hot. And you know, like a lot of mothers, they want something better for their kids. So we wound up, I say this on one of my songs on the album, Growing Pains, where you know, the mothers try to move out the hood to the suburbs, but their kids was the hustlers. So now they brought the hustlers to the suburbs, you know what I'm saying?
And it get gritty.
It was kind of like, it was kind of, right.
Get gritty in the city, man, with the hustlers.
Yeah, so we moved out to Beltsville and a little spot called Powdermill Village right by High Point High School. And,
I know exactly where that's at, man.
Yeah. So, you know, it was like a little, you know, seemingly nice little spot. And then,
so you walked to school, huh?
Yeah. I was at High Point. I went there when I was at High Point. For about 3 years, I lived there. About 2.5 years, I lived there. Then I moved with my father in Hyattsville. Okay. He lived over in Louisdale when a lot of our rivals in Northwestern would, you know. But
man, Hyattsville used to be hot, man.
Yeah, my stepbrothers, my other brother and sister, they was over there. So they went to Northwestern. So it was all love. So I knew people from both schools. So it wasn't no thing. But yeah, so you know, I mostly grew up there, but I would go definitely work on my grandfather's stuff in the summer. So I would always go back to the Brentwood and to that little neighborhood and spend the whole summers there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Working with them and then, you know, playing with the kids around there and, you know, just staying, you know, being back and forth around there like a lot of us do. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I'm a PG County kid. So.
I love it. I love how you claim that, and you it's nothing with like I was born in DC, but I'm a PG County kid.
Yeah,
you know, and there's nothing wrong with that.
It's funny this whole narrative now, where's this thing where, you know, you have to grow up in the city and you know, and it's like, you know, that just recently started. I don't know, you know, not too
long. It's the new generation, man. It wasn't like that back in the
last maybe decade or so, I think. Yeah. It's always been, you know, it's always with DC clown and Maryland Bammers. That's always
that's always been here, right?
That's always been a thing. But I think it's gone to a whole nother echelon, I think. You know, now and everybody's back and forth across those lines, man. Eastern Avenue or Southern Avenue.
Right.
Everybody
across
Southeast,
them lines,
man. Yeah, everybody crossed them back and forth across them lines. You know, family, you stand with somebody, for a while. You staying with this person for a while. So I mean, it's like you back and forth. It's a street,
Right. Right.
you know.
And a lot
You
of
know,
us, like you said, a lot of children, a lot of parents got their children out of DC because of the schools. A lot
yeah,
of children didn't
yeah,
want a lot of parents didn't want, like, that was my mother. Like, she didn't want
yeah.
me to go to DC schools. And I wanted to, back when I was coming up, McKinley Tech was still closed though. And we used to,
Okay.
like, man, I wanted to go there so bad, but the joint was
Yeah.
closed. And either way, I wasn't gonna go because my mother was gonna have it. You know, my
Right.
father
Right.
didn't
Right.
live in DC, lived in Northeast. My
Okay.
mother lived in MPG, College Park. So, you know,
Okay.
I'm definitely with you on that,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, they
Yeah.
now they vet you, bro. They like, look, did you go to high school in DC? If you ain't go to high school in DC, then
Yeah.
it don't count. It don't count. You
Right.
ain't from
Right.
here. But
Yeah. I
people
always tell
decide.
people like, I'm a PG County kid, but DC. No, my claim to DC hip hop is that we helped rebuild U Street. So you know
Man, we gonna get into
that.
that.
Yeah.
Woo, we
So
gonna get into
that's
U
the
Street.
claim. When I say DC hip hop, it's kind
Yeah,
of like our area and our whole stomping grounds was the U Street area.
yeah.
So that's where that comes from.
And that was super. The man, U Street was super important because it cultivated, it nurtured the creatives that were in our community at that time. And without U Street, we're gonna get into U Street a little later on though. But U Street was super important, man. And you definitely were a huge. You paid a huge contribution
Yeah.
to that same. You're not just a rapper or a lyricist or master MC. You actually are an engineer, a great engineer,
Yes.
might I
Yes.
add. Bro, the way you sound, like, I don't know if you mix and master your own music or not, but whoever does is awesome at what they
Yeah,
do.
I recorded mix all my stuff. I have
Man.
mastered, and I have mastering. I have mastered projects, but I don't like to master my stuff. I don't consider myself a mastering engineer because
Okay.
real mastering engineers, that's all they do, like all day. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
and they have pristine environments and pristine tools that they use, and that's pretty much what they do. So I don't ever really disrespect mastering engineers. So I actually use a mastering engineer. Shout out to my man Ricardo Gutierrez, and but yeah, I do mix all my stuff, and I do mix projects for other folks. I have in the past, and I have mastered stuff for me and for other people as well.
Right.
But mastering engineers have a lot of yummy tools that they have specially built for them.
Right,
So
right.
I think
Right.
it's more advantageous or whatever. So, but yeah, I worked at Omega Studios in Rockville as an engineer for about 6 years, from 2005, late 2004, 2005 until like 2010, 11. So
I know you've seen a lot of artists coming in and out of there. No, was that about eight? Was that like 7 years or something?
About 6,
How
a
long?
little over 6 years.
Wow,
Yeah,
I know you
because
seen.
it was like really beginning, like December 2004. So I really say 2005 as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Tell us a
and
little
then
bit about that, man, because that was a school. That Omega's a school as well. Tell us a little bit about your experiences there, man, and about people you work with. I know, like I said, I know you probably seen work with a lot of artists at Omega.
yeah. Well, I went there as a student in 2001, 2002. So I was a student there, and then I was out in the field freelancing. Like I was at the 930 Club. I was mixing at the Lincoln Theater, doing a whole, just different little spots. And then I stayed in touch with, people from Omega, and the GM called me back. Studio manager called me back. Was like, look, we want you to, because at the time they had a really bad reputation for hip hop and R&B. Like a lot of the people, they had some major label situations working with people in the 90s, but then after that, they had like a crap reputation. So they wanted to kind of reinstate. It was like, look, they knew me. A lot of people knew me. So I came up in there, and then once people started finding out I was up in there, started bringing clientele and then students actually. So yeah, it was cool. I worked with, producers from groups from like Drew Hill, Raheem, of course, Ludacris, some pop people. My man Brian Transall, BT, who's a producer for like Madonna and Britney Spears and people like that. So a lot of producers, and then gospel folks too. You know what I'm saying? Richard Smallwood, a number of different gospel cats will come through, and jazz, and all types of folks, man. So Biz is Biz Markey's a friend of mine, longtime friend.
That's a funny brother right there, man.
Oh man, he's a nutcase. But I used to be under his wing as an MC back when I was like 19, 20. So we kept our relationship because my old manager was his manager. So R.I.P. my man Monty. But Biz used to do voiceover work for Cartoon Network. He used to be on that show Yo Gabba Gabba on the Cartoon Network. So I recorded a lot of those sessions, those voiceover work for Cartoon Network for him. And then, things like that. And then, I'm sure I'm missing people, but, it was good. It was split. My time was split between doing major label work and working with artists and then also teaching as well. Because you have to teach if you work at Omega. So I think teaching made me a better engineer. Because, you have to, it's one thing to learn something just to do a session, but it's one thing to learn something to the point where you have to teach it. Like,
that's true.
And
that's
teaching,
a whole other level, man.
Yeah, and teaching Pro Tools and teaching MIDI, and things like that. It was just it makes you learn it on another level because you got students in your face like, well, what's this rare thing in its rare situation do?
Right.
Something that you might never use, but you're like, oh, okay, well, look, so yeah,
that's what's up.
You learn how to meet manuals and guides real quick. So
that stuff is like the toys, man. Like I'm a gadget freak, so I like to mess with anything that has anything to do with editing.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Studios is just a beautiful place, man. It's like a heaven,
It is.
Especially when it's like a state of the art studio, man. Woo, it's like heaven. Yeah.
And one of the things, I went, we went back there to Omega, and was it? I think it was like around February, I think. And I did a homecoming event at Omega where we broke down the album, my current album, broke that down production wise and a lot of the techniques and stuff like that, because I mixed it, from my house, from my living room.
You mixed that in your living room?
Yeah, where I'm at right now. I'm just got a little computer beside me, and there's just like a little corner of a living room. I'm building. We have an unfinished basement, so I'm building a mixing mastering room down there eventually.
Wow.
But until then, yeah.
Bro,
so
one of the things. Wonders. Go ahead. Though.
One of the things. Thank you. One of the things that I wanted to that we had at Omega was that the things skill sets and stuff that you learn how to work in different environments, and I think I wanted to use my project as an example is that if you learn things the right way, then you can take those skill sets and you can learn in the environment and acoustically treat stuff. Because I would do that when I was at Omega. People would hire me as a consultant to go to their little spot and maybe do some work for them, see what they had going on. And, and I would take I had a mix reel CD of a lot of work that I had done for folks and mixes. And, I was Black Alley's engineer when they first started. So
shout out to Black Alley, man.
Yeah, shout out to Casey, man. Yeah, Omar, Cam. So I was, so a lot of different folks. I would have, a mix reel of all the work that I had mixed, and I would just take it with me. So I would go to somebody's house, and I could literally, I knew it so well, I could play it in your system and tell you what was happening with your room. Because I know how it's supposed to sound. So if you had too much low, mid, or, like build up and a lot of standing waves in your corner, and it was real, bass heavy or bulky or muddy, I could tell you, around which frequencies that you had problems with, so you just learn.
That's the tricky part is learning those frequencies, man.
Because that room is important. It'll play tricks on you. When you can mix something and it's, it sounds great here. You take it out in the car or the truck, something, and it's like,
crazy, right? A total difference, man.
Got no ass on it.
Yeah. Hey, bro, I tried to mess around with that 31 band audio editor one time. I'm like, man, I'm about to go back down to 12, man. Like, it's freaky. I mean, that takes talent, man. You really have to have the ear for that, for real.
Yeah, just just the ear and the experience and just learning. It's they say it's a science and an art. That's why it's called the
Yeah.
School of Recording Sciences, Arts and Sciences.
Wow.
So the artistic part is knowing you're having an ear, knowing but then the science is how you get there, like the technical stuff and how you get there and stuff like that. So I tell people all the time, I'm an example that you don't have to be a musician. You don't have to have. A lot of people that became engineers were musicians. They knew how to read music. They knew how to do a lot of things. And I kind of was one of those people that never had any of that. But I just had a good ear, and I would work with other producers on even with my stuff. And I'd be like, man, you don't hear that? What's that? Why does it sound like this? Or why does it sound like that? I didn't know how to express it.
Yeah.
But once I learned, then it was like, okay, and I think it's not necessarily, I kind of mix and engineer as an artist in a sense where I don't overthink things. I just like, if I make a mistake or something turns out, I make a mistake on something and I say, oh, that sounds great. I like that. I don't question it. I'm like, oh, that's sometimes things happen by mistake. There's a lot of stories of records that got made by mistake.
Hey, look, it was supposed to happen that way, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes the universe come in and sprinkle some more greatness in there for you.
Right.
Just because you didn't plan it, you don't gotta embrace it though.
Yeah. And that's where you gotta trust your ears. Like, I didn't mean to do this, but it sounds awesome. Like, then you're like having that confidence to say, nah, this is a nice sound. I want to go with this sound.
That's dope, man. Yeah, I love the way you think, man. You could definitely tell that the way you process information, it's on it's extremely high level, man. Like the fact that you mix that joint in your living room and it sounds like it was mixed in a state of the art studio. That's talent, man, and a lot of experience that you put into that, man. But I feel like you just blessed with an ear as well. So you mix the blessing that you have with hearing the frequencies and then mix the experience, and it's just like impeccable. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, once you get the skill sets, is like, the thing is that you just use your advantages. Like, I didn't have a lot of really nice analog gear like I would have somewhere at Omega, big consoles or a lot of nice outboard gear, compressors, EQs, and things like that. But what I do have is time. Right. So, you exactly. So you experiment with stuff, you do stuff, and you're on nobody's clock but yours. And that's the difference. So it's like you use the tools and you check out tools, check out plugins, check out this and whatever. And, I might rent a piece of a summing mixer or something like that. And you just find out what works for you and works for your sound. And then take your time with it. Once you get your signal chain straight, then you can like, okay, this is it. And,
I mean, mixing and mastering can make or break your project. So it's extremely important, man. Yes. And I know you got to know how important it is because you do it yourself. You like, man, I'm going to make sure this shit is done right because I'm going to do it.
Something up. You can really screw something up in the mixing or mastering process. You can have a great mix and the mastering engineer could totally trash it.
Right.
Or you could have a great recording and a mix engineer can mess it up. And, so yeah, it's really important.
Yeah, man. And you have like I said earlier, you are a hip hop pioneer in DC. You've paved the way for artists, so many artists. I mean, Authentic, Odyssey, Uptown XO, Wale. I mean, even trap rappers like I Am Northeast. I feel like artists like you have paved the way for them. I mean, singers, spoken word artists, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Raheem Devon. So, how important is it for you, and other DC culture ambassadors, to connect with, uplift, and guide the younger generation?
I think it's very important. And I'm just one of a number of us, right? So shout out a lot of other
definitely.
folks that came
I know I keep saying like you're the only one, but
right. No. I mean, I appreciate it, but a lot of my folks, I mean, shout out to my man Head Rock and Kokai and Sub-Z and Storm the Unpredictable, Infinite Loop crew, like a whole bunch of folks, that we met up all at the Freestyle Union. arts organization, all having ciphers and battling and stuff like that. So there was a number of us that helped bring that whole scene back up on that U Street area. And then people who wrote about it, like you said, Ta-Nehisi Coates and Jelani Cobb, who are now political pundits that were at the City Paper back then and would write articles. Natalie Hopkinson, who's now kind of part of the go-go scene and stuff. When she first came, she was doing a lot of stuff on U Street stuff and articles that she did on Us in the Post and stuff. So I think it's very important to connect with the different generations. And I think a lot of that is both sides. Like, so the older heads have to embrace new music, and we have to embrace anybody that's doing real dope stuff. And, you know, even if it's not what you do, because that's what it's about. It's not about somebody doing something that I do. It's about you doing what you do on a certain level of professionalism, right? And admiring that and respecting that. And I think when you respect youngins, they in turn give that respect to you as an OG. You know what I'm saying? So I respect a lot of the youngins' music out now. I respect, of course, Go-Go is all our foundation. So, all from that arena to, so like my youngins that are in Can't Lose a Soul, and now my new video, which is coming out Wednesday, this week, Motivation.
Oh, Motivation video about to come out? Oh, that's dope. That's
dope. It is phenomenal. I can't wait for y'all to see it. It will be all over the place. But it's my same youngins, Dream Coalition, they in there getting busy. Like,
you got Dream Co. Okay, you really doing something. Is it?
They're the kids that was in the Can't Lose a Soul video.
That's what I'm about to say. So you just taking Can't Lose the Soul and you just keep it, just keep enhancing that. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is that once we make connections, we have to keep those connections. And like, I kept in touch with those youngins, and I think there's like two crews, because one of the youngins is not in that crew, but he has his own crew. He's in the video too, and we keep in touch. I mean, I think kind of looks at me like a uncle or father figure, like they're not doing well or something, and come past the job, I cash app you some money or something like that, and just keep their spirits up. You know what I'm saying? And try to be more. If you see them fighting or something, break it up, and like they're on the trains doing stuff or whatever. So it's like, it's just love. You just give them love, and it's like, when I invited them to be in Can't Lose the Soul, that was just for me watching them on the trains and saying, look, other people, looking at them annoyed or whatever. I'm like, that's y'all new DC. New DC gets annoyed and old DC gets inspired, right? So I grabbed them, and I'm like, I grabbed him. I'm like, look, man, listen, you trying to change the world? Because we trying to change the world. So I said, well, you trying to change the world, meet me on U Street, blah, blah, blah. And they came. So when we did that, it was like they hadn't heard the music. They got on our IG and started following. But it was just off the energy, and they came out. And so, when we were shooting the video, they was doing it. We had the live, drums and all, and congos and stuff in the alley. And, we let them do their thing. And, business people came up, the surrounding businesses came out. And I was like, look, man, y'all digging y'all pockets to pay these youngins. I said, a lot of these is homeless. I'm like, I don't even know if they ate today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, let's pay them, blah, blah, blah. So I think because of that, it was like, real recognize real. So thing about the youth, you got to be real with them.
Right.
And you got to, like, if you're saying that I'm really looking out for you, I really want to include, I really respect your art, blah, blah, blah. Then they heard the song, they was like, oh.
Right. like he really out here rhyming.
Yeah, it was John Frank. Yeah. So I think, then they started following, so it's just keeping in touch and saying, look, I got more work coming up. I wasn't able to pay them for that, but I got them paid. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whereas this, I paid them myself. I was like, look, this is what I need from y'all, blah, blah, blah. So they wound up doing their thing on Black Lives Matter Plaza and to Motivation. And man, it's powerful. It's really powerful.
I can't wait to see it, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
With a lot of other people's, DJ Cool's in it. A lot of people just gave me love and just, you know, making appearances and stuff. And
man, DJ, I
so,
love DJ Cool,
yeah.
man.
So that's
Shout out
family
DJ
too.
Cool.
So yeah. So I think, you know, it's just all about keeping it real with youngins. And I hear stuff. I don't have no problem. What's your name, little man? Okay, man. Dang, man, I feel what you doing. Blah, blah, blah. You ain't got to know who I am or whatever. I just, you know, there's a number of cats I done did that too. You know what I'm saying? Go to little showcases or whatever, and you see them, and this is like, damn, so who are you? Okay, we'll follow, you know.
You can't do it for everybody, but you got to see the potential. You see the potential in somebody. You got to nurture that.
That's how I met Sniper B in XO's camp.
Really?
You know, yeah, I didn't even know who he was. I was at a showcase. Me and my partner ADST, we was at a showcase checking out another brother, and then I saw Sniper rock. I was like, damn, Sniper's dope, you know. And then I wound up introducing myself and blah blah blah. And he's like, okay, you know. Then I found out he was in XO's camp, part of ELU. So I was like, oh, okay. Then we wound up being on the same bill together.
Wow.
For XO show.
That's how I go.
You know, along with Pinky. So, you know, it was funny. That's just how things are. You know what I'm saying? So you got to give love because you never know. It's a small area, man. So,
man, that's what we need more of here, man. I'm so glad you're telling this story because literally this is what we need more of. That right there, man. We missing that. It's like that human element, that human connection, that human aspect. Hey, that human nature, man. There you go.
Yes, man. Yeah.
Yes. Rest in paradise, Michael Jackson, man. One of my favorite artists of all time. Yes, okay. we missing that, man. So it's so refreshing to hear you say that that's just how you live your life.
Yeah.
This is what we need to do. We need to live our lives like this. It ain't about talking and bumping your gums and posting pictures about it. And, you know, it's really about showing love every day, you know?
Yeah, life is, it's about frequency and energy, man, you know, because all we are energy forces, right? So if we have our moment on this earth to make a difference and to contribute to the legacy of that energy, right? So it's like when you on here and you're short, like I say in food, the worst thing you could do to the universe is waste time. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's like we have a limited amount of time that we're here to affect change and affect, you know, folks and things. So it's like you have to really take advantage of opportunities, man. And and I think meeting people, I believe in people. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm one of those romantics.
I love that, man.
I believe in people, man. I believe in people that, you know, that really want to be better. They want to have proper energy. They want to
that June
connect.
1st. That's that June 1st energy, that optimism, that balance, man. You balance, bro.
You know, but at the same time, is you know, you gotta. It is what it is. But still, I'd rather always try to see, even when people don't do good things, don't mean they're not good people. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you catch people at a certain time in their life or a certain part in their path that is just a bad time. Yeah. So, you know, I try not to take things personally, man. Even if dudes come at me wrong, somebody coming around, I try not to take it personally because you don't know me.
Right.
So whatever you're going through, that's your thing. It has nothing to do with me. Yeah. You know, so
it's good to hear you say that too, man. And that's the part of Black men that I love the most is, you know, y'all got such a deep, wide, like loving hearts. Y'all are really the hearts. You know what I mean? Like y'all don't really get into a lot of grudges and pettiness and stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're all human beings
real
here.
ones,
so we all have real ones. Y'all might get into real ones, but not them petty joints, man. We do have to start understanding, like I say this all the time, brother. There are no good or bad people. We're all oscillating between the two. You know, one day, you know, it's all about waking up every single day and making conscious decisions to be honest, to be loving, to be understanding, to be God is close to God like as we can, you know. But like you said, I mean, experiences is depends on what the timing and your experiences. It depends on the decisions that you make, you know. So I'm glad that you're understanding in that way to people, and that's how people change too. You know, people, if you keep condemning people and holding them to who they were 10 years ago or even yesterday, sometimes, you know, it doesn't give them the opportunity or the space to grow. So,
and I think and especially when it comes to our people, when you start to really truly understand white supremacy, and you really understand what the the whole history and goals and the infrastructure of it is, you start to understand a lot of things on a whole micro level when it comes to people and how it affects their everyday interactions, right? And you see things on IG, you see people who are lacking self-esteem, or you see this and this, and you see it's just they're just caught up in the systemic oppression, and like they take it on. You know what I'm saying? And so you try to a lot of times we fight the symptoms and we don't fight the root. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we're going
so
against
traumatized, man.
Right. And a lot of it, we walking around with PTSD, just growing up how we grew up, all the time. And I tell my kids, my girls, I'm like, look, y'all are so blessed, man. Y'all never gonna have to deal. I mean, I have your own challenges, but you won't have to deal with stuff we had to deal with. I mean, so you be at the bus stop every day, someone coming, you get chumped before you even really get to get on the bus. So somebody coming and, busting you, punching you in your chest,
right.
Busting you up and
testing you early in the AM.
Off top. I ain't even fit. They mad because you ate. They
right.
See, here's when the infrastructure of white supremacy comes into play. You just going through like, what's wrong with this dude? Every day he got an attitude, want to fight. Come to find out, mother on drugs. He ain't getting to eat. He ain't getting the basic necessities of life, right?
Abused,
so every day he's seeing you with a full tummy, or you got something you eating. You got a lunch you got with you. He ain't eat breakfast and he ain't got no lunch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that he got a problem with you. And it's not your fault. And he's in a messed up situation, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, that's what it is. And it's like, you have to understand that even though you address the problem, it's like, it ain't really about you. It's about this dude is, this little youngin' not eating.
Right. He not eating.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like he's not getting the necessities and the basics of life. So how can we even talk about, other concepts that to him may be, or her may be abstract?
Right.
Right? When he talking about, I'm just trying to get food, man.
That's that survival mode. You can't tell somebody talk to somebody about next week or next year, and they hungry today. Exactly. A lot of people don't know how to see past tonight because they worried about that meal,
Yeah. I said, what I say on food, I said, by the end of this verse, I'm going to be a legend to these little youngins that can't even see life past a bag of Funyuns.
Funyuns. Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Rock Creek Soda and K2, they dozing over. You know what I'm saying? For my people, that be the jazz like Bossa Nova.
Ooh, just
you know what I'm saying?
With the rhymes, man.
Because it's like that's the whole the mentality is like where it's that poverty. Yeah. It's like how can I get past this? I'm eating non-nutritious crap every day.
See, that's the thing. They get us on every angle. They get us right. They poison us with the water, poison us with the food. So they poison our minds and our spirits. I mean, they poison our minds and our bodies with that. Then they poison our spirits with all that with the trauma, with all the trauma we go through. And then, we don't get a chance to truly like recharge. We live in a concrete jungle. Really human beings are supposed to be able to walk outside with their shoes off and put their feet on the ground so that Mother Nature can ground us and absorb, take out all of that negative energy that we've been going through. And that way we can feel a release and be able to go back off into the world and conquer things. But when you're constantly just being beat down and beat down and beat down and you're not able to recharge or refuel in any way, man, that's the key too,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, all of that.
But see, that's why you give love, because that's a way that you can help people recharge. When people are being abused and lied to and all these terrible things, oppressed, the one thing that you can do to try to help that is to show love. Because when you give that love out, that energy, they feel that energy, man.
You'd be surprised. I mean, it's like, we all trying to get better and trying to do better. Nobody's perfect. Everybody got their issues, man. So, we just try to, keep it moving. And, my thing is like, it's everything to me is about legacy, man. Like at the end of the day, when it's all said and done and you're gone, what's your legacy? What are you leaving behind? What are you contributing to the betterment of your people, or just, whatever. So that's kind of what it is for me. So.
Well, you definitely have a heavy contribution, man, when it comes to the culture, when it comes to the community, and now I hear that you just every day you live like that. You just go out and just show love to people. So even spiritually, man, you just out here replenishing people. Now the Manhood Project, man, that's a dope title. When I first heard the Manhood Project, I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to hear the songs. Oh, I know this gonna be a banger. He just gonna be, I know he gonna be just spitting knowledge through the whole joint.
Well, for the album, it was really just about saying that it's a celebration of us and our journeys and what we have to go through from young boys to going through that whole process, matriculation into growing into men, and recognizing what you have to go through from somebody who's been through it and continues to go through it, and saying that how great we are because we do that, and real, protecting, families and having our families and protecting our Black women and doing all of this stuff that we just do, you know what I mean? And still going through the trauma, still going through the degradation of being who we are, you know what I mean? And being in our skin and having that not be celebrated, not be celebrated, but also be a threat and the biggest threat. So that was kind of like, my whole thing with that. And my daughters were like, we see a lot of imagery, and it's purposeful. It's all purposeful from these corporations that, that are controlling the imagery and stuff that we see. It's pretty much white supremacy, because it's the white power structure.
Yeah.
So regardless of, it's and I always try to,
I love how you say white supremacy and not the white man, because it really is a much bigger and deeper than just the white man.
I always make sure that I differentiate. It's not a people, it's a system.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's a system to benefit a people, one race of people, but it's a system. So, you can't blame individuals. You can't go on this whole, devil thing. It's like, I think it's just that and this is why now we're gaining more allies, because people are realizing, wow, COVID has happened and there's not as much movement, that people are seeing what's going on a lot more, with the George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery's and Breonna Taylor's and all that type of stuff. People are seeing it more and like, oh, wow. And people are like, this, like, come on, it's too much. It's just, it's
a lot.
People that was, it's like, look, so now people are, more white people are starting to become anti-racist in their actions. So that's a positive.
It's so funny because they even stole that. White supremacy was modeled off of imperialism, right?
Right.
So even white supremacy is not theirs. It's crazy. Like, nothing is theirs.
Well, white is made up, so that's not even.
All of it's none of it's real. Like, these color labels and titles
when groups first came to America, it was all, it's all different immigrants, right? It's all Irish, German, Italian, or whatever. So.
And then you have the indigenous natives who were here before that, but
so it didn't even come into play until it was used for systemic oppression. That's the only reason why it was even made anyway. So, which is a whole nother.
It is. Let's not get into that one. I talked to you for 3 hours about that one, but go ahead.
2 bottle of wine conversation, so so to speak. But so the Manhood Project basically is just basically an affirmation, so to speak, of us, and then the stories and the challenges of being who we are, and I wanted to make it so it wasn't so in your face. I really wanted to just make a dope album with grooves, and in those grooves, you find yourself absorbing certain subject matter, right? By just listening to dope grooves, and I really want to make it easy to listen to. I'm never really a beat you over the head type of person. I'd rather, just, do what I do artistically, and then you'll eventually hear you know, something that might have went over your head before. And you'll come back to it and be like, oh, wow, my pen and my art is as good as it's ever been. So so what does that mean? You know, if you look at people, you know, you look at Black Thought, right? You look at Thought is probably, you know, definitely one of my top 3 MCs, you know, but Black Thought couldn't have spit the stuff that he's spitting now 15 years ago. It took life and experience. It took the stuff that makes him so great now is that he's an amalgamation of so much experience, and relishing that experience humbly and learning from those experiences and then manifesting them through his art. And I think that there's a lot of people doing that. And I think, you know, the more, if you do something over and over and over again for years, you become more of a professional.
Right. You're going to get good at it for sure.
Exactly. So it makes sense. You know, when he hit that freestyle a few years ago on Hot 97 with Flex and stuff, and people flipped out, and I was like, yeah, he couldn't have did that. It wouldn't have had the impact 10 years ago if you bought. I mean, it would have been dope.
It still would have been dope, but I feel what you're saying.
But
it wouldn't have had that.
The stuff that he was saying, and it was so poignant, and it was just like it was just nothing but experience and age that got you to that point that you were able to spit that type of content.
Man, that new joint he just dropped, man. That Thought versus everybody.
Yeah. Oof. Nice. Yeah,
serious.
You know,
I wish he wouldn't have put Farrakhan in there. I wish he wouldn't have mentioned Farrakhan. But other than that, that joint was nice. Right. I love Black Thought, man. He's definitely one of the legends out here too.
And it takes away, you know, I had to comment on another friend of mine who did a post as a producer, and he was like, man, you know, Black Thought has messed it up for every MC that I work with. This is the standard, and I'm just like, look, man, Black Thought is Black Thought, and I said, and what makes him special is what he does. I said, everyone has their own thing. I mean, everyone is their own personality, their own style, or whatever. I said, so Black Thought can't give me what Method Man gives me. He can't give me what Ice Cube gives me. Right. He can't give me what, you know, Nas or Jay-Z or, you know what I'm saying, or J. Cole or Kendrick. You can't give me what those individuals are, because they're their own lights. They're their own, you know what I'm saying? Right. They have their own lights. So
the game would be different without any of them.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And it's like, you know, Slick Rick. I mean, you're talking about Redman. Like, you talk about personalities that are like, they're their own voice. So I was like, you know, that's the thing that makes culture and art so dope. Everyone has their own palette.
Right.
And their own brush. So
we're all able to add our own uniqueness to everything, to any and everything.
I can't be him, and he can't be me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just about really taking the craft seriously and putting your best art forward. I think that's what it is about.
Yeah, man. And you've remained. We mentioned earlier that you've always been an independent artist. You actually were one of the first independent artists in the area. I believe your project in '98 was released independently as well. Your first project, right?
Yeah, first EP. It was like a 7-song EP. And I had a single before '97, which was a re-release from some vinyl that we pressed up in '94. That was getting a little bit of play on, you know, mixed show radio stuff back then. So yeah, '94 was the first, like, you know, putting my money up, you know, press these records up, you know.
What influenced your decision to stay independent?
I think I never have a thing against major label situations. It's just what you have the leverage to negotiate. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, if you get into a major label situation as an unknown artist, you're gonna take a lot of L's. You're gonna get screwed, and you're gonna take a lot of L's. And the whole thing, you know that, like, as an artist, if you understand the industry, you knew, you know, back in the day, if you get in a major label situation, your whole thing is to pimp it and not be in it for a long time. so that you can renegotiate your situation. You know what I'm saying? Outside of that, build your fan base. If you really knew how to do it smart, you could, really, really negotiate. That's why the folks who really were successful at it, if you look at Too Short, out in Cali, out in Oakland, you look at Dre and Stoop and NWA and them. If you look at, different folks down south, you look at 3-6 Mafia and other folks who wind up in major label situations, but they created their own infrastructure.
Pimped it. Yeah, you're right. They did.
So if it's a label picking you up as an artist, you short. Now, if it's a label picking you up as a system or an engine of your own infrastructure, then you're in a better situation.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a production deal versus an artist deal. You're getting, you having more leeway to just deliver final product and do what you want to do, because you have
more control
numbers.
too over your
you have numbers, because it's all about numbers, right? If you can prove numbers, that's it's all about what I got the numbers, so I got the leverage. You know what I'm saying? So Wu-Tang had a landmark deal because they were able to show numbers. They were able to show so numbers and stuff to Steve Rifkin and them at Loud Records, and so every label in the industry shut the door in their face except for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, you want what? You want a label deal as a group, and then you want the ability to go out and get separate deals as individuals? Get out of here. That was never heard of. It was never heard of at the time.
But they did that though.
But they
got that done.
But the numbers and the music, they had it on lock at that time. And it was like when it was coming out, they had New York tripping. So it's all about leverage. So
you got me thinking now. How much responsibility do you think our local DJs and radio stations have?
I think they have tons of responsibility.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. Like you're supposed to be a catalyst for our local artists' success. You got to help them get their projects off the ground. People shouldn't have to pay. I would never accept money to play somebody's record. I would never do that.
And then I feel like it's hurting the region as far as its stance on, because there's and a lot of people outside the area know. People, I've done tons of little shows and podcasts with folks that they know, like, yo, man, y'all got a lot of stuff happening down in DC, down in DMV. They be like, man, y'all got some work down there, man. Y'all doing y'all thing, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, we'll get that support. I mean, over in London, tons of
everywhere else.
When we did our listening party for the album for Manhood Project, they streamed it. They streamed the whole album. They played the whole album in England that same day, that same night. So it's like, that's unheard of. Like, like you played the whole album? Like, that's crazy. So yes, there are, and look, there are DJs who are here that are doing that.
Yeah,
so
they
let
are.
Me not.
Yes, I thought this. Good point. Let's not say all of them, because it ain't all of them.
So shout out to Capitol Ill Radio, my man RBI and New and all those guys. Shout out to my man AJ Throwback, Bars Radio. Shout out to HUEman TV. Shout out to everybody that's showing the dope artistry in this area. Yeah. Shout out to all those folks, and DJs that are in clubs that play local music, so fresh.
Yeah.
So many folks that Taiwan and King RG show. All there's a lot of content folks here that are really doing trying their best to represent, doing their thing. It's just on a certain level, and in that mainstream radio, which is still heavily consumed, that's still a lot of the validation entry point, so to speak. A lot of those DJs aren't representing, and it's really the fault of the radio stations. The radio stations, and they have the Kathy Hughes and them have the capacity, they have the power, especially if you black.
I mean, all they gotta do is press a button. Just press the button.
It's like, and I think what it is that DC hip hop has to. We have to. It's kind of one of those things. It's just you have to make so much noise where it's undeniable. It shouldn't be that way, but it's like, and we keep making noise, and to the point where it's like, give love to the stations and the people who are repping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's to me. Instead of talking about who's not, let's talk about, because now a lot of people from outside that are hip hop heads outside of the area, from all over the country and all over the world, they tune in, they come into the area, or they peeping stuff in the area. They'll listen, they're listening to Capitol Radio. They're listening to stuff like that, Benny the Butcher and all of them, Griselda cats and
Benny
stuff.
the Butcher's eating them up.
Yeah,
man.
they coming down and they doing those radio shows because they know that these mainstream radio stations ain't playing their stuff.
Right.
They're not playing, you know what I'm saying? You ain't hearing no Griselda on WKYS. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's just, right now it's just, it's so go-go. Everything's about go-go because of, the legislative, becoming official music and adult new DC thing and everything. So now everybody's on the go-go thing so hard that it's just crazy. It's just over the top. Everybody's trying to cash in on that. And the first, I wrote Can't Lose a Soul before the Metro PCS thing happened. Because we was involved in the situation. Yeah,
that was released before that. Yeah.
It wasn't released before it, but it was, by the time it happened, it was already done, about to get released.
I must have heard an exclusive or something. Well,
because the song was done. We hadn't done the video.
I heard that jump before Metro. I don't know how. I'm thinking now, damn, who the...
Yeah, we had.
I get a lot of exclusives though, man. I'm blessed. I got a lot of people in the city be showing me mad love. So
I got a handful of DJ, cats that probably had it or whatever. But
okay,
and so the issue with the restaurant that we had in Shaw, and then so that was on the news and all that. So that was really what got me to do Can't Lose a Soul. Then came Metro PCS. Then
you talking about the chicken? You talking about the chickens, man?
Yes.
How I knew you was talking about the chickens, man. Shout out to Rockman, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey.
That's my dude.
Man, I don't know him personally, but I've been following him, and I love what he's doing for the community and the culture, man. And without, you two, because for real, you two were the one that started the whole, it went viral, and you guys drew a lot of attention, man, got the news involved. So that was like,
and he wound up being
real, that was the first domino.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was like the first thing that started, that really started that off.
Yeah, that was the first domino,
it was just really shortly after that the Metro PCS thing happened, which of course really blew the lid off, along with the Howard University thing after that.
Yeah.
And then, but it was an opportunity, and that situation got quickly resolved. If you remember, the T-Mobile, the head of T-Mobile,
oh yeah,
basically was like, oh, okay, well, they saw the movement, they were like, oh, y'all good.
Man, they shut the whole, it was too many people out there. They thought they was going, because this is what happens when you allow people to take things from you. They think that they can keep taking things from you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we damn it, that was the last straw. It was like, look, you are not about to take our go-go music. We already had our mayor talking about mumbo sauce ain't good, and she don't see it's not quintessential, and all this crazy stuff out of her mouth, man. So we couldn't let them disrespect us to that degree.
Yeah, people forget about that.
There's a lot of stuff people forget about as time goes on, but I don't forget no bitch assness.
Yeah. Oh man.
I don't forget none of it. Now I love everybody, but I don't, when it comes down to on that level, nah, I can't forget that, man.
Yeah, because the thing is like, oh man, but it's just, I think that, how it is with every movement. When there's a movement, a lot of people they're going to use a movement to serve their own
capitalize.
Their own personal agendas. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to say it, but that's happened to Don't Move DC. There's certain people who've, taken and capitalized, and they're making a lot of money off of that. And it's as far as go-go being respected, and to see that's great. The legislature go-go, that's great. And there's a lot of people capitalizing and making money off that. And that's, it is what it is. And hopefully that money gets regenerated back into the community, and things.
They out here buying Gucci, man. I done seen them. They out here buying. They out here.
Look,
you know what? Let me not go there, because I could really disrespect somebody right now. I ain't gonna do it, but they know who they are.
And what's crazy is that Can't Lose a Soul by certain folks kind of got pushed off to the side, because it was like, it's about go-go. Like, we don't want to
But the
all that,
percussions, do they hear the beats? Do they hear your music though? Like,
so
them
it's
man, it's so much
it was
go-go and
very clicky. So,
yeah.
it's like, but the streets talk, you know what I'm saying? The streets, that was a record where, I got a lot of love. It got a lot of attention from people outside of that whole clique. So, it did what it was supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? I think it brought attention. It definitely helped, boost the start of the album, start of promoting the album, because I released that in another video for Food before the album came out. So yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, I wasn't trying to get nothing out of it. It was just art. It was my contribution. I wasn't selling no T-shirts.
That's noble.
I wasn't doing any of that. It was just about, here's my contribution to what's happening. I think we need to ring the bell on what's going on in this city, in this area.
Yeah. It's true, man. We got to start respecting the people who really have it in their hearts to create positive changes, man. A lot of people, like I say, man, people try to capitalize off our suffering, man. And it comes on so many levels, and it comes from so many different people. And we have to figure out who are the people that we need to fuel. Hashtag fuel the good. Fuel the good, because if you're not fueling the good, you're fueling an entity that's not going to invest in you or your community, and it won't be a cycle of just goodness and love and being able to reciprocate those things. It'll just be like somebody's constantly taking from you, taking from your children, taking from their future. And we gotta stop that, man. This is why I love artists like you. I love human beings like you, because you come from a place of love and you want to make sure you nurture people's potential, but you also want to educate, man, because without the education, there's nothing can come. We have to be educated, we have to be smart, and we just have to show more love, man.
Reinvest, man. We have to reinvest. I mean,
reinvest.
Any arena that our people are making a lot of money in, that should be audited to make sure that we're putting that stuff back into to schools and to stuff that is not being taken care of by our governments or by what I'm saying, the system, right? So we have to supplement things that are not being handled in the way that they should be handled by money that we're making off the community. Right. So think about how many people go to go-go's weekly. Think about the charges of $20, $30 for go-go's weekly, and bands are doing, a couple shows and blah, blah, blah. And everybody's package joints is like 500 to 1,000 people. You know what I'm saying?
That's off a regular night.
That's off a regular night. Now, if you somebody like, Essence or Back or Junk or whatever, you're doing much bigger numbers than that. You know what I'm saying? And I just think whoever is really successful, no matter who, it's not like I said, don't get me wrong, I'm not calling out a go-go community. I'm not calling out. It's just about whoever's who's ever making money like that. I think we just to have a way of who's to say that certain people aren't.
I think we do. We do have to call people out, though.
I just think that I don't know who's doing work, who's doing what. I mean, but I just think that there definitely needs to be a form in which we kind of all make sure that because there's a lot of commerce. And they were saying that on the Go-Go documentary, the one, they just put out TV One and all that.
Don't stop the beat.
Yeah,
like
can't stop something.
Yeah.
So it was like that money, is being regenerated back into the same community, and it's like, okay, well then that means you have power and you can start making some change to things. And I hate to always hear about how messed up DC schools are and not being able to have this and not being able to have that, when you got a lot of the same. And then again,
it's crazy. Black people used to come here for the schools.
It's not the fault. Something might not be your fault, but it might be your responsibility.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? And so it's not our fault that things are underfunded or whatever, but it is our responsibility if we're getting, ample amount of money to say, hey, look, you know what? We should set aside money and make sure that these kids got this, these kids got that, or, communities.
And we've done it before, though, bro. That's what I mean. You are definitely a pioneer of the U Street music scene, the '90s U Street music scene. But we've done it before. Look at U Street, Black Broadway. That's how Black Broadway was created and able to strive and thrive, is because Black business owners. Well, they weren't business owners until they actually bought businesses, but they were hardworking, middle class, highly educated African Americans. And during the Jim Crow era, we weren't allowed to go party downtown and live life freely and go wherever we wanted to entertain, right? So what they do, they got together. One person got with the other person, got with the other person. They started buying businesses, man. Back in the 20s, 30s, it was over 300 Black businesses on U Street, in the U Street area, and we got to get back to that, because that's how we
just
were
like able... it wasn't so many of our communities, like the Tulsas, like all, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like so many of our communities, when segregation made us have incredible, our business totally independent. You know what I'm saying?
Totally independent.
Banks, our own, banks,
industrial bank.
Schools,
I mean,
everything. Yeah.
Used to be industrial savings. Look how they saved the industrial bank, man. I mean, when the Great Depression came, just to give people a couple little facts on that, man. Like when the Great Depression came, the industrial savings they didn't get the pass from the FDR from the president to reopen. They had to come through, and Black people got together in DC, bought them stocks, and they opened up industrial bank. Still, and the industrial bank is still here, man. We still got, so many businesses that should be landmarks, man.
Yes, absolutely. And so yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I mean, it's just about I mean, I don't know, man. I just try to do what I do, contribute what I can contribute, and you know what I'm saying, and hopefully putting out good energy, correct energy will, hopefully if it will, help to correct some of the wrong energy that's out. You know what I mean? Or at least supplement or whatever. Yeah. So we just do what we do.
Well, it's that's definitely, I mean, moving. Shoot, talking about the Mecca, man, a cultural Mecca, man. We got so much Black, DC is rich in African American history, man. Black history, man. So much. It's a lot of it here, man. Like, much. Cultural, I mean, I believe they used to call it like the cultural, intellectual Mecca, right? Something like that, you know what I'm saying? And for people really knew where they came from, and the stock that we come from, man, it would blow people's minds. It would blow our minds. We got to tap back into that, man. One
thing I would really, really encourage people to look at is that Marion Barry documentary. It came out, I think it was like a PBS thing that came out when he passed years ago. But I found out so much information. I mean, so much information about. Of course, I mean, we all knew what Marion Barry has done for the city, man. As far as job, summer youth jobs, and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, summer
programs. But like just the developers that came up under him, as far as what he did for minority developers and minority contracts, and everything that he did and create. I mean, literally, he almost single-handedly created the Black middle class in this area, man. That then from the city that moved out to the counties and the surrounding areas and all that type of stuff. Because when he took office, there was like 1% of the DC contracts going to minorities, and then when he got into office, he changed that to 50%.
Yeah,
50%. And I work for DC government, so I know what it takes. You make sure that you check in the minority when you trying to get a vendor or trying to get something happening. There's that list of minority. You better make sure it goes through them too.
It better go through them.
Yeah. You got some issues, Jack.
You got some big issues on your hand, man. He did so many beautiful things. That's why I say he got away with a couple. He could make a few mistakes with us, and we still loved him because he
Right.
did so much
Yeah.
for us, man.
He took care of the streets, man. You know what I'm
Yeah, he
saying?
did. He
Anytime,
fed the streets.
yeah.
And
He
he
said,
stayed in the streets too. He was always a
mm-hmm.
presence in the community. That's
Yep.
really where, where we fell in love with him. Why we fell in love with him initially
Mm-hmm.
is because he was always there, man. He
It
was
was
always
accessible.
around. Yeah, he was
Mm-hmm.
definitely accessible, man.
Yeah.
Easily, man. For sure.
Yep.
Being a presence on the U Street music scene, man. Tell us how that was, man. Like back in the day, going to different ciphers and the freestyle. What was it called? The Freestyle Union, I believe, back in the.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about the Freestyle Union, your experiences with that, and just everything about that, man.
Wow. Well, there was a number of us that were, hip hop artists, and then we were doing our thing in the early 90s, 90, 92, 93. I was still dancing back then, actually. I was a hip hop dancer. I was
B-boy
dancing for folks
stance.
and everything.
Yeah.
But then I started back rhyming, and I wound up, again, business manager Monty used to, manage me, and I wound up, I remember 93, I did I opened for Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, and Eric Sermon up at the DC Armory back
That's
then in
hard right
'93.
there.
It was like me and it's another group that opened. I was the opener, and it was so funny because my man RBI and them, they were high school back then, and they said they saw me. They were like, man, we didn't know. They found out later that I was from here. They just like, oh, dude, is dope. And they found out I was from here. And so it was like, oh, wow. And then, so I was rocking a lot of clubs and stuff back then. Like there was, on the college scene, like shout out to my man Rhonda Berry and Steve Solomon and all those dudes who would do parties and stuff, and Paul Howard and Trini and a bunch of people were spinning the clubs, Iron, and even before they got on the radio. And I would like, they would call me up to the booth and I would just flex over instrumentals and rock parties, basically. And and then, we go around battling folks and, go to Howard, we battle dudes at Howard. That's when Tracy and Tracy Lee, Young Guru, and all of them was there. And then this was like the mid 90s. And then, so what happened was when State of the Union came about as a little spot, they had a little freestyle contest, something, and then me and this other kid with Todd, this dude, he was called Tim Buck back then, and wound up being Sub-Zero, Sub-Z. And
damn, that was Sub-Z's first name? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was his first rap name. That wasn't his first rap name, but that was the rap name when I saw it was Tim Buck. So I think when he was in a part of a group when in the 80s called Dynamically Fresh, T Slice. Gonna find out later. I used to listen to them on the radio.
Hell of a name, man.
But
I like that.
So when Todd with us and he invited me, he was like, man, we've been looking for you. He was like, man, we've been looking for you, heard about you. There's this thing going on in 8 Rock and Southeast called, this little thing of ciphers we have at Freestyle Union. So I was like, oh, all right, I didn't go right away, and it closed down in that spot. And then they wound up reopening back up in over there by O Street Market on like 9th and P or something like that, 7th and P or something, by the old O Street Market, in a spot called HR 57 back then. And so I came there. I wound up getting an invite, and I came there, and that's when I met Kai, Black Indian, all of those.
Oh yeah, shout out Black Indian, man, for sure.
Yeah, shout out BI. A lot of the other folks and Amphibian Crews and all that. So I came there, man, and I got quickly humbled. Like them niggas was nasty. I mean, nasty. Like when I came there, it was like topics on the floor. You couldn't just come in there and just rhyme about what you wanted to rhyme. It was like they had topics. It was like a topic, and shout out to Tony Blackman, who was the founder of the system. She was from Cali, but she went to Howard. And so she kind of founded it in the ciphers and doing these really organized things like, exercises, you know what I'm saying? Where you had to really reach inside yourself spiritually and start really
That's the test right there.
ripping away that ego and all that, and really just exposing yourself to get better, to get like to the point where and you know, it definitely took my craft to a whole nother level. Seeing those dudes, seeing, you know, Black, and seeing, you know, Kokai, Sub-Z doing anything. Black was like 16, 17 back then. So, you know, they had heard of me. So when I came in, they was like, oh, snap, come on in the Cypher. Them niggas was nasty. I was like,
yeah, because you used to kill the ciphers around your way. You came up that mug, you like, man.
Yeah, you know, because you really found out, like, you know, where you at. So, and I did my thing, you know, and I kept getting better and better and better and better. And to the point where, you know, became one of the main dudes. And so, yeah, we started out, it was just workshops and ciphers and stuff. And then a core of MCs kind of developed like as a performance core. Because Tony, you know, we started doing shows and stuff so it was like the top like 8 to 10 MCs out of there became part of the Freestyle Union performance core, and we started doing like shows, 930 Club and stages, you know, different little venues and stuff. But it was an organization of different crews and stuff all around the city. So it wasn't a crew. It was an organization of several crews. You know, so
I like that. Cliques should be able to come together, man. You know, you can have a clique. You can have your peoples, but you should also embrace other people as well. You know, you don't have to. They don't have to be in the clique.
That's how I met Head Rock and them, Infinite Loop and all of them, and 3LG. Like that's how I met all those dudes through the union. Everybody used to come and get busy, and you find out who's who. And then and you couldn't battle each other in there. You had to battle yourself. So it's like, you know, it was very, very regulated, you know. So yeah, I mean, we were all doing our own thing outside of that, but the Freestyle Union really started getting a lot of notoriety in the mid to late 90s. We would actually do workshops at colleges and universities. We went out to NYU. We did Georgetown, you know, of course, a lot of George Mason, a lot of places here. Yeah, so we was going up and down the Eastern Seaboard doing stuff and it would really be something because we were doing so much stuff. People was like, these niggas can't be freestyle. It was like,
it can't be it, man.
It was like it was so elevated. Like we would take, you know, proverbs from the Bible or proverbs from the Quran or you know, authors that we respected like Khalil Gibran and people like, so we would take sayings and little proverbs, Book of 5 Rings, Art of War, that whole stuff, and we were just like a lot of Eastern thought references, you know, we were doing and building on, and just like taking it and debate. We would do debates, we would do, you know, alliteration. It was crazy, and you had to do it all freestyle. So it was a phenomenal,
like a lot of fun, man. It definitely helped you in perfect your craft.
It was a phenomenal workshop for developing your craft and everything.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
So it definitely took us to another level. Yeah.
That's dope. I was when I first heard of the Freestyle Union, I was like, damn, I wish I was around. You know what I'm saying? Because that just sounded like a dope experience, and I feel like that's something that we would really loved it. Yeah, we missing that nowadays. We need that back. It brought a lot
of folks together because we had poets, we had singers, people would come through and just observe, like, you know. So we started rocking. We started connecting with poets. That's how I met Ta-Nehisi. Because there was a poetry cafe in Georgetown that a lot of the older heads called It's Your Mug. They used to go through and they would do these poetry things and slams and things like that. And we, you know, they started inviting us from the union to come down. So I hear that's how I met Poem C's, a part of my other boys, my man, you know, DP and Patrick and them. So they were part of a crew called Generation 2000 back then. And so, you know, we met poets and they would do their thing, doing incredible, well thought out pieces. And then like we'll come behind them and I would see whoever was doing stuff and I would take this stuff and freestyle it. Like whatever you was talking about, you know, we would come up and just start rhyming and throw everybody's stuff that they were talking about in the rhymes and doing stuff like that. And, you know, which they thought was like, wow, that's crazy. So it was like it brought a lot of different aspects, you know. And then we were doing events at State of the Union, Confer House, all of those things, and
Oh yeah,
Bar
Cover
None and
House,
all of
Bar
that. You know what I'm
None.
saying? Yeah. So and then and it just grew from there. So and then other generations of cats came up under us, and they came through like Tim Hicks and Rashad, and then from Cornell West Theory, and rest in peace, Cool C Brown, Claude, and Joe D, and those cats, and Dirty Water, and Godzilla, and all those dudes were younger generation cats who came up, Amphibians, and Slim Cat 78. All of those dudes came up under us, and that were younger that started doing their thing.
Yeah.
So and then we met each other on the scene. Wes Felton, Dub, Raheem, everybody blended.
Yeah.
It was just a really good time, man. I think.
Yeah, people
late
don't know
90s,
the names that came up in that. I mean, in that U Street music scene, man. A lot of people don't know about Tallahassee Coates came up in that U Street music scene, man. Raheem. A lot of people still don't even know that Raheem Devon came up, in that U Street music scene. It's a lot of Wes Felton, like you said, you work with both of those brothers. You know what I mean? Very talented brothers, man.
Yeah, they were Crossroads, and then they had the, another collective, the Urban Ave 31. Collective, and it was like Omar, Retinue, Raheem, Dub. It was like a whole bunch of Asheru, Unspoken Herd, like that whole. It was just it's a beautiful time, man. So there's a lot of connections of people, and that's why I'm advocating for. I'm a really strong advocate for a documentary, and we have footage that we're trying to digitize and stuff like that from ciphers and shows from back in those days. A lot of stuff from VHS tapes and stuff that I'm currently trying to digitize and all that whenever I have, a free moment.
That was much needed. We need more spaces like that where we can get together as artists. I mean, all types of artistry. We're so creative. And I mean, you could tell with your music that's something that helped you nurture and perfect your craft, man. I must say that your music embodies all the necessary qualities and critical aspects of what, in my opinion, it constitutes a master MC's body of work, bro. Like the writing, the captivating flows, man, the interesting content. I mean, you got the rhythmic beats, man. You got the hard rhythmic beats and all that. And tell us, why don't you educate us on the differences between being a rapper, a lyricist, and an MC, and a master MC as well? Because I think there's a difference between a master MC and an MC. So,
okay, yeah, I think everybody people have their different interpretations. So, of course, rapper is ground zero, right? That's the entry level, right? I put words over rhythm, right?
Words over rhythm, I like that.
Words over rhythm. I'm rhythmically talking over a beat, so that's rapping, right? So that's pretty much entry level. It doesn't take much to get you that title, right? So once you start really getting into the craft of word building and word play, where you start expanding vocabulary, you start understanding uses of structures and metaphors, simile, like doing things that you become, I think, and you really take that and you started building on that, you become a lyricist, right? You become a lyricist, you become your writer, your pen game starts to get elevated, right? Then if you add the aspect of performing, right? Vocally finding your voice, where your voice lies at, what things work for you as your style. You start to develop your style. A lot of people don't have their voice for maybe a long time before they start, when they first start rapping, or doing anything. It's really, and if you're growing up, you change, your voice changes, all of that. Freestyling, battling, those things are about the competition aspect and understanding the performance aspect of rapping, right? So the freestyling aspect help us to be prepared for any situation. If something happens to the sound or something happens to a record, we would purposely do things in the cipher that would throw you off.
Right.
So you had to, if a record double skip, you had to lean
Oh,
back
I
on the
dig it.
beat. You had to find the rhythm, whatever, and get back on it, and you learn how to create styles off of mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, that makes
so
sense.
if I make a mistake, I might repeat that mistake 8 bars later or 4 bars later, or I might make it a style or make it a song. You know what I mean? Like, it just takes, whatever. It's all about how you look at things or how you approach things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that aspect, that freestyle battling. And then there's the, the shows, the writing, all of that stuff. And then there's the recording. And then there's the making of songs, right?
That's when it get tricky.
That's when it gets, there's a lot of people for a long time. People knew me, and my rep was about wrecking live. They knew that's what we did. That's what I did. That's what the union did. We wrecked. We rocked. We went over all around the city, went to jazz spots, musicians, throw us on, we freestyling, we doing everything. But I didn't know how to make records. That took a long time for me to really understand songwriting, arranging, producing, you know what I'm saying? Sonically engineering, all that type of stuff to what makes a viable record or song. How do I make a song where it can really have the impact emotionally on the individual that I intended to have, right? Because there's the artistic part. This is what this song is doing to me, but how do I make it so that the listener feels that way, right? And how do I add to that, right? Because the beat is doing that, but how do I add to that to make sure that it becomes a song that the listener, when I heard Not Today and I heard that beat, or Can't Lose a Soul, like what do I do to this and this is where, understanding production and songwriting and all that stuff comes into play. So when I say all of that stuff, the MC is the whole package.
Right.
The MC, master of ceremony, meaning that no matter what situation you're put in, whether you're in the studio, whether you're on stage, whether you're battling, freestyling, writing, whatever, all aspects of that, as far as your craft, that you're on point.
Yeah.
That's when you're
show
an
up
MC.
and show out.
That's when you're an MC. And when it comes to songs, there's a lot of people that I know that are really dope lyricists and other dope freestylers and dope battle cats.
Yeah.
They can't make records.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. It
there's
is.
a lot of people that came up on a battle scene way back in the mid 90s and late 90s, and Supernatural and a whole bunch of peoples that are real heralded battle MCs, but their songs didn't resonate, right, with people. And that's why I say, people say, like, we talk in the argument with Black Thought is Black Thought. Black Thought is, like I told you, one of my top 3 MCs, but I don't necessarily like all the songs that the Him or the Roots make.
Yeah, definitely don't.
I love to hear him on the microphone, but I don't necessarily, a lot of the songs don't resonate with me. A lot of the older stuff does. The Roots, Do You Want More, Philadelphia Half-Life, of course, Things Fall Apart. A lot of those 3 albums, I think, were like, the roots that I know and love, but not everything that they've done I like, and not every song that Thought makes I like. So I don't think sometimes I just don't think it's a good song.
Yeah.
You might sound great on it, like you might kill it on your verse, but the song doesn't.
Or they don't slap.
Now, in this day and time, I don't value certain things like I used to value them when I was younger, right? I don't care about battling anymore, right? I've done it. I value making music, right? So I value making records and songwriting and putting out records that really move people, because that's what I care about now. You know what I'm saying?
It shows, bro. Believe me, it shows, man. You work with so many dope artists and producers. I mean, Black Indian, Uptown XO. Shout out Culture Over Corporate, by the way.
Shout
You know
out
what I'm saying?
Culture Over Corporate. XO
And y'all
Elu.
better go ahead and support that Culture Over Corporate, man. Ain't nothing like it, man.
Incredible
We
album.
mentioned
Incredible album.
and Culture Over Corporate slaps so hard, man. Everybody in the country need to have that joint in they on replay. Seriously, man. If you ain't heard that, you gotta hear that, man.
Yeah. It's definitely represents the area, man. Represents the city. You know what I'm saying?
The whole entire joint go, man. But I mean, like I said, you work with so many artists.
Shout out to Tim Hicks too. Dirty Church. Shout out to Tim Hicks from Cornell West Theory. He didn't want to think the album on the Whammies for the rap album, and just cats doing their thing, man. Killer Cow.
Yeah, you were nominated for that, right? You were nominated a couple times.
Yeah, a couple nominations, but
dope, man. I mean, shout out Kev Brown. Let's not stop, man. Kev Brown, Choppy Chop. Who else, man? Ayana Gregory. Who else? Who else you work with, man? We mentioned Cy Young earlier, though.
I work with.
Yeah, people you work with.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, so many. I'm just naming a couple, brother. You know, you work with so many people.
Shout out definitely Choppy Chop, Roddy Rod.
Unknown. You did Unknown. Roddy Rod did a lot of your the Manhood project.
Yes,
right? He produced a lot.
He did the most production on it as far. I think he got like five or six.
Yeah, he put his foot in that one, man. So I mean, the list goes on and on with you, man. You've been in this game for such a long time, and you're a legend in this game, man. I'm curious as to how do you decide who you work with? Like, what qualities do they have to have? Like, how do you decide who you collaborate with, man, and why do you collaborate with them?
Great question. Well, it depends. It just depends on what like when I did Mr. Move Something, that album in 2005, I set out to work with certain people. I was like, I want to do a song with Asher, Unspoken Her. I want to do a song. I want this joint with Kokai. I want Raheem and Dub, Crossroads. I wanted to do, work with certain people, and it was like, cool. This approach for this album currently, for the Manhood project, I literally let the songs dictate to whose voice I heard. I didn't set out for anything. It was just like, okay, what am I hearing on this? Who am I hearing? Do I need another voice? If I didn't feel like I needed another, especially as an MC, if I didn't need another rapper on it, I wouldn't put, XO. I had never worked with XO before. And we, it was much reverence and much love, but when I did Unfamiliar, the song that he's on, I just heard him. I just heard his voice on it, and I wanted another perspective.
Hey, Nathaniel Starr killed that joint too.
Yes.
Shout out Nathaniel Starr, man. Did you hear his voice as well? Because that voice, I mean, he really put his uniqueness on that one.
I didn't at first until I heard him do this acapella, and he put it up on IG Live. But IG, he had this acapella where he was singing something about his father or whatever, and it was so soulful, and it brought me to tears. And I was like, look, bro, he has already stepped to me. He had already heard my work, and he had stepped to me. And he was just like, man, I would love to be on this project, and blah blah blah. And I was like, matter of fact, bro, I was like, I got a joint, and I made the hookup. So most of the times when I deal with singers and vocalists, I usually make the hookup.
Oh, you wrote the hook?
Yeah, I wrote every hook except for Love Won't Let Me. So I wrote that.
Okay.
But I wrote the hook for Unfamiliar, and he did the verse and the bridge and the verses and all that. So that was him, as far as here. But I wrote that. Not Today, with Musina. Wrote that hook. Actually, that was a collab because we kind of wrote that together. But yeah, Growing Pains, I wrote with Jay Hill.
Man, where Jay Hill been at, man? Where's Jay Hill, bro? Like,
he's chilling.
He's chilling too hard, man. Tell Jay Hill, man, we miss him, man.
Chilling, man. He's chilling. Yeah, I told him, like, look, man, I hear you. Take your time. Get back into it when you feel it. But I was like, whenever we got some work together, man, I got to join with him on his project that he was working on it some years back, and it's nuts. So, and
Yeah,
that's kind of
the
how I work
Manhood
with people.
project definitely reflects that, man. Like sonically, content wise, it's just it's amazing what you did with that project, man. And it speaks to so many different. It touches on so many like social issues that we have, or
Mm-hmm.
you know, important topics that people are like really scared to touch on. You know, so
Okay.
I love it for that too because I really I love dialogue, man. I love communication. I feel like that's what we lack in our community. A lot of is you know we need more communication. I'm very communicative. You know, I feel like that's the difference right there. Without the dialogue, you know, we can't get anywhere.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
so
I agree.
yeah, and you spoke a lot about not a lot about it, but you did touch on the emasculation topic that a lot of people, you know, they're afraid to talk about. They feel a certain way about it. You know, they do have an opinion on it, but people don't really want to touch on it.
Right.
Now, you mentioned earlier that your daughters came to you and pretty much said that, you know, the
Well, not comes to
imagery.
me, but just kind of make comments. You know what I'm saying? So you take little comments, and you know we're always got the media. We're always watching TV or things. So you start seeing imagery, and it starts to be questions about certain things, right? I don't have a problem with anyone choosing to, as far as their person and who they want to love or who they want to be with or whatever,
Yeah.
anything like that. What I do have a problem with is the media imagery of what they choose to represent for us, you know what I'm saying? And when they feel it's convenient, right? So
Right.
there's always that, there's always the if you understand white supremacy, you understand like in these corporations that are in the power structure, they want to always have a negative imagery of black men.
Yeah.
Right? That fits the narrative, right? That fits the narrative that we're a threat, our bodies are a threat, all that type of stuff. First, it was it's either cooning, so we have to even look for us to make white people feel comfortable. We have to be presented as either coons, comedy, blah blah blah, or we are, or we fit the narrative as a threat, as a thug, blah blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah, or now within recent times it's become the emasculating us, you know what I'm saying, of making us more feminine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and now that's why I'm saying not today. I said, I said being gay ain't got nothing to do with the bitch shit. I was like,
Yeah, you definitely
what
said
I'm
that.
saying, what I'm saying in the media is an attack. What you see in the media is an attack. They turning our men into women, and we got women for that. And
Mm-hmm.
women confused because dudes getting ass shots too,
Dudes
So
getting ass shots too. But
right.
neither
So
one
my
of them
thing
should be
is,
getting ass shots. But okay, you
so
know what I'm saying? Neither one
so
of
my
them should
thing
be.
is that I hear this from black women
Right.
that are looking for men that's like, damn, and it's like if there's nothing wrong with being homosexual. There's nothing wrong with being bisexual. There's nothing wrong with being heterosexual.
But
There's
the
nothing wrong
imagery.
with being whoever you are. But I don't see that imagery. I don't see the strong heterosexual black male, maybe with a family, the head of his family, or anything, or that type of imagery that's being promoted. And just because you show that, it doesn't knock anything else. Because this is not a imaginary thing. This is a documented, purposeful thing
Yeah.
that's happened, especially in Hollywood, and especially in a lot of the entertainment business. They wanna demasculinize us. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And they want to throw us in dresses. They wanna, they want us to become feminine and less of a threat, perceived
Yeah.
threat to them.
I think
So
it's a
there's an
couple
agenda to that, is
reasons.
what
I
I'm
think
saying.
it's and it is an agenda for it. And I'm glad you spoke to it because when I heard it, one thing about you that I love is that I don't think you're coming from like a homophobic or like a misogynistic
Not at
type
all.
of space. Like you're seeing something and you're speaking to it because it needs to be spoken. No, we need to speak about it.
I
But
have gay
the thing that we
men
need
that
to
say
be,
that to me as well. Like
yeah,
gay
and
black men will say, "Look, I'm a
yeah,
man. I'm a man. I'm a man that's attracted to other men, but I'm a man." Like, you know
right,
what I'm saying? Like that has nothing to do. So if you want to show me that everybody's a prancing elite, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And it's like just because I'm not that, it doesn't make me you know, it doesn't make something wrong with me because
it's just
I'm just a
saturated.
regular.
It's saturated. They're trying to drill it. It is an agenda, but the thing about that agenda is that the true. I don't like when people are being taught to be something and act in ways that they don't naturally feel, right? So if you are a child or a grown up and you feel like if you're a man who wants to put on a dress, if you truly feel that way and you haven't been influenced, I don't have an issue with that. But it's the influencing part about it that I have an issue with, because then the people who were really born that way, who really feel like that, they're lost in that conversation, because you know it's all about the agenda, but there really are people out here who really were born that way. And my thing is, I want to make sure that we're not forgetting about the true people who are truly born that way, because I feel like sometimes you know that gets
and like I
lost
said,
in that
that's why I
conversation.
state that this is a media agenda. I'm addressing the media agenda of this, because we all belong.
Right.
We all belong. It doesn't matter what skin you're in, what you decide to do for yourself. We all belong. But we also know that what we see on TV and what we see in the media, there's an agenda to nothing is happenstance, right? Marketing is not by happenstance. It is a very concrete, detailed purpose for showing certain imagery. You know what I'm saying?
And I mean, we notice it too. People who are really tapped in, we notice it, we see it, and we don't like it either, because it kind of mocks true life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like I said, people are lost in that conversation. The true people are lost in that, man. So I appreciate you for putting those, you know, those topics into your content so we can have some type of dialogue on it, because it is important, man. But we just, I feel like the feminine energy is being attacked a lot too. That's why they like pinning us against each other and creating agendas that will, you know, because when you teach men, if you're trying to emasculate men, the first they're going to do is fight against femininity. So they're creating a lot of different wars when they're pinning us against each other. So I'm glad that you did speak to that. And I know we got to get out of here soon.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you quick 6, man. Whatever comes to your mind when I ask you these questions, say it, man. Now name one of your favorite.
Look, I'm a thinker, so it may not be as quick as
it might not be as quick. I know we got to go soon. So look, I'm trying to rush now. You know what I'm saying? But take your time if you have to. But name one of your favorite items that ended up lost or stolen.
One of my items that ended up lost or
stolen?
stolen?
Name one of your favorite items that ended up lost or stolen. These are random questions.
I can't say lost or stolen, but what comes to my mind is something that was damaged. And that was a hard drive of an album that I was doing back in 2008 called the Ozone Project. One of the students at Omega knocked my hard drive off the booth and damaged it. And
Damn, was that a part of that? Was during the did that spark your hiatus at all, or was that just something that happened?
Yes,
it did.
Yes.
Oh my goodness!
If you look up on my YouTube channel,
wow.
There's for the listening party. It has a party where they have a question and answer period, and I'll talk about that. Yeah.
Wow, I gotta look that up. I'm glad I know that. I was going to ask you, but I didn't want to touch on it because sometimes it'd be personal and stuff like that. So, you know, but that's good to know that that was the reason.
That was the main hide. First thing that sparked the main, like, me stepping back for a minute. Like I'm just not into this no more. Like, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you pushed through that, brother. We definitely need more of your music, man. Don't never stop. Don't never stop the soul, man.
No doubt.
Now, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Ooh. Wow. If I could have a superpower, I think to mentally or spiritually heal. You know what I mean?
That.
Like, because a lot of people are damaged mentally and spiritually, and that's the reason for a lot of things that we see that we look at as problems, but they're really symptoms. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I definitely know what you mean.
To be able to heal trauma, you know. So
that was an awesome answer, brother, man. I love. Don't you just love black men? They awesome, man. When they're being true, right? Now, what is the quality you like most in a woman?
support.
Mm.
Just support. Yeah, I feel that's the most valuable, and that's, I think, yeah, I try to.
And support comes in many forms, ladies. So let's make sure we know that.
Support is what's valuable to the person being supported.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Just like giving gifts. It's giving a gift that the person that you're giving the gift to would like, not what you would like.
Not what you would like. I like how you thinking, man. You a real one. You a real one. Now, what is the quality that you like most in men?
Real men, I think I like the ability for real men to sacrifice what they want and protect who they care about.
That's deep.
You know what I mean? Because we're protectors by nature. So to be able to sacrifice what you feel that you want for yourself, to make sure that, your loved ones are protected and taken care of.
That's dope. That's honestly, I feel like that's a man's number one priority besides, I mean, to me, that's providing for your family too. Protecting your family is providing for them in a way, so.
And not just money-wise. I'm talking about just as far as making sure that everyone's mentally, spiritually healthy.
That is providing too.
People feel a comfort, with you. So, yeah.
Well, let me just say, as a black woman to a black man, I love you for that, brother. I really do, man.
Appreciate
for real. Now, question number 5. I think we're on 5. What do you consider the most overrated virtue?
Most overrated virtue. No.
I just thought of another question I want to ask you. I might have 7 questions. I might have 7 questions today. Quick 7.
Virtue. I think people's I don't know if this is a virtue or not, but I just think people understand. I think it's underrated. I guess I said so. People, what I feel like is understanding is an issue that I have with people. It's like, because you gotta, especially when it comes to our people, right? When everybody growing up in this guise and this whole infrastructure of white supremacy and understanding, the trauma. I don't think we even understand the trauma,
the
depths of the trauma that our people are still going through on a daily basis.
We still scratching the surface.
So I said the lack of understanding, I think, is an issue. You know what I'm saying? So
that's real. That's real. Now, without naming any famous or popular figures like Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, name an iconic black figure everyone should know.
Marion Barry.
There you go. Good one. Right. Now we're going to leave today's show on the same note we always leave it on, a positive one. Stay you, stay true, be well. And well, we want to thank you again for vibing with us, brother, man. It really was a blessing to have you here with us today, and blessed our listeners with all these gems you've been dropping all over the place.
Thanks for having
me. Shout whoever you want to shout out and give them all your handles where they can reach you at.
Yeah, and IG. So the name is Priest, Priest Da, the Nomad, Nomad. So definitely hit up the YouTube channel to see all the videos and stuff and the past works. And Priest the Nomad is the YouTube channel, at Priest the Nomad on IG, at Priest DN on Twitter. And if you want to just see the work, you can just Google me. A lot of the work, Manhood Project is the current album that's out. PriestTheNomad.bandcamp.com is where my whole catalog is too.
Yeah, so, not Tidal. It's not on. If you go to Tidal, it's not. But telling you, if you go to Bandcamp, you're gonna get it from travels all the way up to the Manhood Project.
Yep, absolutely.
That's dope, man. Y'all make sure y'all tap into Priest the Nomad on Bandcamp for sure. Stay tuned to True Culture on YouTube. at Human Nature TV. That's HUEman Nature TV on YouTube, Instagram, SoundCloud, and Twitter. Thanks again for tapping in with us. Brothers and sisters, the revolution may not be televised, but it will be broadcasted. True Culture on Human Nature TV.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you
Peace.
for having me. Appreciate you.